So, Mr. Ohata, I believe the Nonviolent Peace Force will be officially started in November of this year, but could you tell me more about this NGO?
Nonviolent Peace Force is a human rights organization. We hope by setting up this organization, we can stop the armed intervention to solve the conflict all over the world. And we send trained international peace activists to the conflict areas to prevent the death and the destruction and protect human rights. The project began at the Hague Appeal for Peace in May of 1999. But the concept is not new. We can go back to the Gandhi's idea of Shanti Sena, which means peace army.
Now, as you mentioned, and as the name implies, your NGO promotes peace through nonviolence. But could you give us some examples of your activities?
As I said now, Nonviolent Peace Force has not happened yet. So it might be better to speak about my experience with PBI, Peace Brigades International. I worked in Sri Lanka as a PBI volunteer in 1994. At that time, citizen movement was suppressed by the government and as a death squad group. When a Sri Lankan lawyer asked us to give him a protective accompaniment, that means we would sit next to him in his office, walk with him side by side. Maybe we open the door instead him to avoid his assassination. We will provide this kind of service to clergy, union leaders, human rights activists, and returning exiles. If one Sri Lankan activist were killed in Sri Lanka, it might not be a big news. But if international person was killed, accompanying the local activist, even by the mistake, it becomes international news in a moment. In most cases, death squads and other human rights violators do not want their actions exposed to the outside world. We also monitor nonviolent demonstrations, and all the PBI teams produce reports on their work and the situation in the countries they work in and distributing this information worldwide. In this way, the physical presence of a PBI volunteer backed by international support deters violence directed against local activists.
So basically, you're telling me that you go into these areas where there's civil war or it's terrorism, and you go and you walk side by side with these activists, and you're basically walking in the face of danger.
Yes.
There could be bullets flying at you, or something could happen.
Yes.
It sounds very risky and very dangerous.
Yes, that's true, but so far, through the PBI's history of 20 years, nobody has killed. And also, we create the many ways of protect our lives, our client's life. If we cannot protect our volunteer's life, we cannot protect our client's life. And we need to attend the nonviolent training before we join the PBI. It's not like a normal volunteer activity so that anyone can join the group. We should attend the 10-day or 2-week training beforehand. And through this training, we will learn about what nonviolence is, and we should also consider about that risk too, of course. And we do many role plays to preparing response to the emergency situations. So we have many examples. So the potential volunteers have experienced the same situation. And after we did same kind of role play, we discussed how we could react in better way or best way. And after we finish this training, the trainers will usually 2 or 3 people. We each one by one, and they will judge our behavior, attitude, our ability to judge.
So you just mentioned PBI, which I believe is Peace Brigades International.
Yes.
Now, how is that connected or with Nonviolent Peace Force?
Peace force, nonviolent peace force is now under the developing stage. It hasn't happened yet, but it's coming very soon this year. So I cannot say peace force to this to that because we haven't. Our peace force doesn't happen yet. But the idea of the plan of nonviolent peace force is based on basically PBI's experience. So for the strangers, for the people, I think it's easier to understand what nonviolent peace force is going to do in the very near future.
So basically, the peace force or the nonviolent peace force is going to be doing the same activities as the PBI.
Yes, that's right. But the only big difference is the size of the team. PBI, for example, my team, Sri Lankan team, was only 6 volunteers, and even the biggest team of PBI, and that is Columbia Project, 20 to 30 people. But sometimes this number is not enough to solve the conflict non-violently. So at the Hague Conference in 1999, we proposed to have a big-scaled peace team, and that is a non-violent peace force. And we are planning to start a non-violent peace force with 200 volunteers in the beginning. But in the future, we want to make this bigger, up to 2,000 volunteers.
So you mentioned that you hope to have 2,000 volunteers with the Nonviolent Peace Force in the future, and these volunteers are from all over the world.
That's right. We try to make Nonviolent Peace Force real international organization. So far, most of the peace activities, international peace activities, done by the global North people, white people. But we don't think it's healthy condition to do peace activities. So we try to recruit from the global South too, of course, including Japan, Asian countries, African countries, and many. Not only the young people, we also recruited the old, retired people and the very young people too. We try to step up the real peace organization in its shape too.
What about Japan? How many members or volunteers are there in Japan?
Approximately 30 people are joined our regular monthly meeting. But we have a mailing list. On the mailing list, there are 50 people.
So since the office, or you just started actually in December in 2000?
Yes.
I believe it's still growing at a growing stage right now.
Yes. In the beginning, we have only 10 people. But now we have 30 or 50 people now. And we received many. Last year we had a public meeting in April. We expected 30 or 40 people at most. But actually when we opened the meeting, 150 people came. And some of them actually joined the Nonviolent Peace Force Japan group. So I feel also they ask so many questions. How about the payment? How are the living conditions? What is training like? Something like that. So I feel they really want to join the peace activities like this.
What drives you, Mr. Ohata, to do what you do, this volunteer work and work with the NGO? Mm-hmm. What started you with this work?
Before I was joining some student movement like anti-nuclear power plants or consumers movement and the volunteer activities with handicapped people. And I've never interested in peace activities. But after when the Gulf War happened, it was kind of very shocking incident for me because I never expected we are going to have war again while my lifetime. So I was very shocked and I thought I should do something. And so we staged many kinds of demonstrations to stop the Japanese government entering the war by paying $9 billion. So at that time I felt, and it's okay to say war is against the peace constitution, but at that time I felt, then what is the alternative to sending military forces?
When you say nonviolence, of course you mean there are no weapons at all.
Right. We are kind of bodyguards, but only armed by camera. We are simply a walking embodiment of the pressure of the international human rights community is ready to apply in the event of abuse. As a potential perpetrators, our exposure of such abuse may adversely affect regimes' foreign aid allocation.
I thought it was interesting how you said you're only armed with a camera. But has the nonviolent approach been effective when there's so many regional civil wars and also threats of terrorism still going on?
Yes, but for example, in the mid-1980s, a small PBI presence in Guatemala, whose protective accompaniment deterred the assassination of key human rights workers and supported the creation of small space for peace. Through my experience in Sri Lanka, I faced same kind of things, and I am convinced deeper that people have power to solve the conflict in nonviolent means if they cooperate. And nonviolence is the only way of the true solution. Early response intervention to the conflict is necessary, I think. As one woman from Kosovo said at the Hague conference, peace workers need to be at the right place at the right time before violence escalates. Otherwise, we are just counting our mistakes.
Now, it's interesting to note with the Nonviolent Peace Force that the Japan division started first last December instead of the headquarters in the United States, which will officially start in November of this year. Okay, and is there a special meaning, do you think, behind setting up the Peace Force in Japan?
Yes. In my case, we have peace constitution, and when I joined Peace Project International, if I understand the principles of PBI, and if I think it's good activity, I hesitated to join the PBI in the beginning because I was afraid of its risky work. At that time, our peace constitution became my spiritual support. And the preamble of Japanese constitution says, we recognize that all people of the world have the right to live in peace, free from fear and want. It means not only Japanese, all people of the world should have the right to live in peace. And constitution says, we, the Japanese people, pledge our national honor to accomplish these high ideals and purposes with all our resources. We shouldn't satisfy ourselves that only Japanese are enjoying peace. We Japanese pledge to do our best so that all peoples of the world live in peace, free from fear and want. I read this part many times, and I persuade myself this PBI's work is the work for Japanese who have the peace constitution, and I encouraged myself to overcome my fear. Still, now, I think this work is very important for Japanese to make the peace constitution a reality.
Well, I wish you and your group much luck.